So Auntieways.
So Auntieways.
So Auntieways.
Girl, what's the tea?
So Auntieways. So Auntieways. So Auntieways. So Auntieways.
Ooh, the RoboCop, right? Or is that that's the Aunt Viv?
Aunt Viv.
That's the Aunt Viv.
No, the Aunt Viv is like...
Yeah. Remember, it's an audio podcast, so please describe what you're doing.
Shaking of the elbows and arms.
I am isolating the shoulders and the arms.
Yeah. Because, it's all about isolation, darling. It's all about isolation.
Yes.
Welcome to the sophomore and sophomoric episode of So Auntieways. This is Mike Diamond. If you're going to step on my lines, we can just start all over.
I've been doing it for 30 years. Why start over now?
No, bitch, you've been biting my rhymes. That's something else.
Oh.
So let's
start over.
Yes, this is Mike Diamond.
This is Miss Matinga.
And this is Booby.
Girl, this is the podcast to end all podcasts. In fact, this podcast may end with this podcast. You know what? We are your gay aunties here for the chit chat and the kiki and the tasty ooh la la. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
That is correct.
Oh,
yes, it is.
Preach it, work it out.
Reminds me, actually, remember that many, many years ago, before podcasts ever existed, I dated a young guy who shall remain nameless, please, who you guys used to call the Pod.
The Pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Star Wars game that there's a spaceship called the Pod, and every time it lands, I think of you.
You think of me?
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm not a pod person.
Well, I have a couple of questions.
My boyfriend was the Pod.
That's why I think of you.
The Pod has done quite well for himself.
Why were they calling him the Pod?
You guys called him the Pod. I don't remember why.
Because it very the invasion of the body snatchers. Yeah, like she mopped the moves of Matingas and was trying to become Matinga.
Yeah,
I say aim a little higher, honey.
Yeah. And so one time we were getting a drink at the bar, me, my daughter Robert, and the Pod. And just like out of nowhere, the Pod, who by the way I happen to have cared about quite deeply and who's done quite well for himself, just out of nowhere, we're at the bar and he did that move where the queens take their knee and then they bring their foot all the way up behind their head, like almost like an ice skating move. But we were just at the bar, like getting a drink.
And is that when you decided to date him?
And me and Robert just looked at him and we were like, so yeah, then Miss Thing went over to Miss E.
Oh,
la 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 la. And we just ignored it.
So first he mopped your moves and then he mopped your heart. Is that what happened?
He did. Yes.
Okay.
And then, we mopped each other up,
Oh, God. Regardless. Irregardless, as the kids say. Well, why don't we kick it off and talk about what are we featuring? And we'll go in alphabetical order. Can't speak.
Order.
We'll go in alphabetical order. I do an alphabetical order once. It's amazing. The animal can do A to Z.
How about alphabetical ardor, which is ARDOUR, ardor?
I love it, darling. So Matinga, why don't you go first then?
Well, I went first last week, and I have a feeling that mine is going to be similar to perhaps one or both of you. So I'll let someone else go first this week.
Is your thing that you're featuring the guy that inflated his testicles to the size of basketballs and died?
No, although what a sad story. Although I do think that if you saline your balls till they're super huge, I think that's hot. I do, but I don't believe in silicone because silicone can poison you. They use silicone and inject it into the penis and the balls to make them bigger, but that's quite dangerous. You can also just use saline, but the thing is the saline will eventually get absorbed by the body, and so the balls get small again. But I have seen guys inflate their balls so huge, so huge. And and they dominate you with their testes. Like you worship the testes, and you cradle them like a newborn baby, and you show them affection, and maybe he hits you with them and dominates you with them, and and he makes you feel he makes you feel dirty and like a woman.
I wrote a song about it. Like to hear it. Here it goes. Sailing takes me away to where I'm blah blah. So yeah,
but that's not what I'm featuring. It is not what I'm featuring.
But it's a true story. It's a sad story. I guess he was in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not sure. I didn't read the whole thing, but the relevant part that jumped out at me was his nickname was Tank. Is that right?
Or was it Pup? I think it was Pup.
I think it was Tank.
It was Tank.
And then the mother was suing him and the 5 boyfriends because it was like a like they forced him to inflate his testes to this gigantic size.
What happens is Tank was not his real name. By the way, there's an R&B singer called Tank as well. But he moved from Australia, and there are these guys, and they kind of have like a cult polyamorous relationship happening. They actually have been in New York as well, and they have all submitted to their master. And what they do is they use silicone and other things to inflate the testes and the penis to crazy proportions. Mind you, like when you use like those, if you use anything other than saline in your genitalia, it's super dangerous and it's illegal.
What about candle wax? Like scented candle wax? Like, hey, baby, you want to get into this nutmeg?
Oh, listen, just honey, like off to the side of the bed, sure. Like my friend Joshua used to do, and he'd impress the ladies. Remember, because he had that really long hair, and he'd do a magic trick where he'd blow out the candles like with magic, but really he was just using the wind from his hair to blow the candles out. And the bitch would be like, oh, and he was like the sorcerer of sex.
That is like what a boner killer. That is hot. Someone said that nonsense. I'd be like,
yeah. Joshua, I love my Joshua, but
I'd be like, no, witch,
total straight, total straight guy, and also he was in a hair band, like it was called New York's Finest, and they had like super long hair, and they used to wear lipstick. It was all straight guys, but like the first 4 years I knew him, he had like really long hair, and I just wanted to give him a hot oil treatment because it was dry. And it was like, and it was blown out, and it didn't look good. And I remember one time I was like, dude, can I give you a hot oil treatment? He was like, yo, bro, I don't go that way.
Like, and then he whipped his hair and all the lights went out.
But then one time he walked up to me and he was like, Anthony, I finally gotten into Man Thing, which is a comic book from Marvel. It was Man Thing. He was like, dude, I finally got into Man Thing. And I was like, finally, darling.
Finally, darling. So what are you featuring, girl?
But wait a minute, just to finish up that story about that poor pup. So they made him use silicone on his genitalia. He got poisoned and he died. The mother is saying that this polyamorous group forced him to do these things. And I think it was a little of both. I think that he was part of the BDSM community and he enjoyed these things. But I do think that he submitted to his master because all the pups underneath this particular master must use silicone. And so they did endanger him. Then that poor gentleman died. And it was really sad. So just to finish that off.
But was that story titled What I Did for Love? Because that's it's extreme to me, bitch.
It's extreme.
I'm like, you want to play basketball, bitch? You go to Walmart or whatever.
Go buy one at Dick's Sporting Goods.
You ain't dribbling me on the court. Hey.
Listen, you got to take me to Red Lobster, honey. I need some Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Class, bitch.
Thank you.
Yes, that's class. And then we could talk about you dominating me a little bit. Like maybe I'll give you my WIC check.
Right.
But, or if I was in San Francisco, my Wiccan check.
Your Wiccan check, girl.
Love to my Wiccan family out there. No shade. So fine. I'll go first. What I'm featuring this week was a beautiful and hopeful inauguration with pomp and ceremony that I really think went a little of the way to healing a wounded nation. I want to say, in particular, Gorman. I forgot her first name, but the poetess.
Her name is Andrea?
Right.
Gorman.
Or Gorman. Amanda? Or is it Andrea?
Amanda. Maybe it's Amanda, yeah.
And what a beautiful poem that just like spoke to the moment that we're living in, and I just thought it was beautiful. I think that Biden was hopeful and forceful. Of course, Kamala was incredible, but the two people that won the day, and I'm not talking about J-Lo and
A-Rod
and A-Rod or Gaga. The two people that won the day were Michelle Obama and her belt. Looking beautiful,
honey, giving you raspberry super heroin.
Oh my god! And then like the hair was so beautiful, and of course Bernie showing up in his mittens, like dressed down, like he was headed to the store, looking like Kermit the Frog, unbothered. Unbothered with that manila envelope that had writing on it. Like, child, like I just loved him. It was so good in the memes.
He was keeping it real.
Keeping it so real. He was like, I'm not dressing up for y'all.
Right.
And
I think that's a wonderful choice. I happen to be wearing, I'll describe it for the listeners, my Biden-Harris aviators and sneakers, high tops t-shirt to honor that moment.
Yeah,
I'm quite pleased. And I do think that Michelle Obama, honey, she knocked it out the park with that look.
Honey.
And the hair was whipped.
But then like she had little brown highlights towards the end.
Right.
Like, yes, girl.
And Barack had this little swagger when he was walking. He was like, yes, that's my woman.
That's my woman.
It was cute. It was really cute.
His little fist bump to Kamala.
Yeah.
As she walked down, it was like, it was the salve that my wounded soul needed. And, listen, we got a long way to go, baby. But it was a great start. It was a really good start.
Fantastic. I wholeheartedly agree. I felt great all day yesterday. We're taping this the day after the inauguration.
Yeah.
Yep. Miss Booby, what are you featuring, bitch?
I'm featuring an animal. I spoke to you about her last night. It's an animal that we rescued, a dog, a Rottweiler, a young, beautiful Rottweiler we named Athena. And she's very fearful. So she would growl and seem threatening. But over the past week, she's come more and more out of her shell, and she's playing with me now, and she's kissing me, and she's being so affectionate. And so that's my like for the week. It's very simple. It's just a dog named Athena.
Athena the Rottweiler that you are helping to socially rehab.
Exactly. So we can get her to get adopted.
Yeah.
Honey, listen, there's nothing like the love of your pet. It's just so real and it's so 100%. And it's like, and I think unless you are an animal lover, you don't get it. Like how a pet can absolutely not just be a part of your family, a part of your life, but like steal
change your world,
change your life. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Honey, like Miss Cutie Cat, girl, that is priority one in my world. Priority one, bitch.
And would you ever have thought that possible? Well, I mean, you've had pets before, but not knowing that you would inherit.
I never thought I would again. I mean, you guys know how obsessive I was with Miss Muffin,
right?
And we loved Miss Muffin, but also I always saw you as more of a dog person. But that cat took your heart.
She took my life. She took my bed. She's taking all my money. I said, girl, you better get a job. I said, you better get a job, girl.
She's not declawed, right?
No, I do not believe in declawing. No,
well, I don't either. But she may have been before you. No,
my grandmother had her. My grandmother wouldn't do that either. Okay. I mean, I trim her nails, but she's like, now she's being all diva about it. Like I can trim one nail, and then she goes and runs away.
Well, when Michael was cohabitating with me for a short time, while he was looking for a new place, and he would call me to hold Cutie in we called it the kitty burrito. And put her in the kitty burrito. So that cat she's fat and old, but she is strong, darling.
Yeah,
she's quite strong, and she lets her feelings be known.
Yes,
she'll let me do it, but I do one or two a day. By the time I get to all of them, it's time to start all over. So what I am featuring, maybe it's a little esoteric, I don't know. What I'm featuring this week is acceptance. Okay. I'm accepting the fact that I'm 1,000 years old. I'm accepting the fact that I'm 400 pounds. I'm accepted. That is not what I'm featuring this week. Please do not take that. No.
That was like, praise Jeebus, honey.
Praise Jeebus. No. What I'm featuring is music that is not new, but that somehow got by me. All week, I've been really into music that's not new, but went right by me. For example, not Air Supply, bitch, and I'm gonna cut off yours. You want to get sassy? I don't mean that far back. I mean like in the last 5, 6, whatever. So, do you know Victoria Monet?
I love Victoria Monet.
Fabulous.
Experience.
Jaguar.
Moment. Yeah,
I'm loving her. Delicious. Her. I'm also listening to Yola. Do you guys know Yola?
Yola.
She has a great version of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and she has her first album is called Orphan something. Fantastic voice. And the third one is called Banks. You guys probably know her.
Banks, yeah.
Banks.
I've never heard of her before, and I came across her song called Begging for Thread, which I guess was her big hit. And then I downloaded the whole CD. She's fabulous, and that's from like 6 or 7 years ago.
I'm still listening to songs from 1992. I don't listen to anything recent.
Such as, girl, what's the last thing you
I'll be your
to?
friend. Boom, doom, 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 doom.
Yes.
I'll be your.
You know, I've always hated that song.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Oh, on a big system. Like, it just
oh my God.
Maybe it was just overplayed.
And I'm listening to Debbie Gibson.
Always.
Electric Youth.
Electric Youth. Lost in Your Eyes.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Oh, that one. Debbie Gibson. Yeah.
That is Chanel's. That's Weetha.
No, we had this conversation.
Is that not Weetha?
No, Weetha is Sean Christopher. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Yes. Debbie Gibson.
You gotta Only Underground or something like that. It's called
Only in My Dreams.
Debbie Gibson. Trick you. Maybe Yo, let me tell you that Derek Huggins, our dear friend and dear friend of the podcast and part of this family and an absolute legend, will do a voguing performance to Electric Youth that is truly electrifying.
Wow.
And to this day, and not even the remix, he will take the radio mix of Electric Youth and teach you wonders. It's so great. I love Debbie Gibson, and I also love music from that time. To this day, every once in a while, I will pull out, what is this thing called love? The one that's really Runway. Oh, it's so good. And it's so good. That's Alexander O'Neill. And of course, we could have
Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald, man.
Were you with me when Debbie Gibson performed at Gay Pride on Christopher Street Piers?
No.
And it did not go well.
No.
I don't remember that at all.
Her dances were sloppy. The music was tired. I mean, this is probably 2004-ish when she was Deborah Gibson for Little Taste.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a little late at that point for her. Even. Yeah. Because I remember being at Heritage of Pride, and there was a current artist. She was current at the time. Her name was Kat DeLuna. Remember Kat DeLuna?
Wine Up.
Yeah, Wine Up. And she performed, and the crowd was like, "Who is this B? Honey, bring us somebody real." Right. Because the queens are like, "We need somebody real."
Well,
where's Whitney?
They can't all be Whitney or Janet or J-Lo Ward.
But we've had Whitney, Janet, J-Lo, Mary J. Blige, Jennifer Hudson,
Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, right. All the big people. The queens want somebody real.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Well, they could book me for next year. So let's move on to.
Don't bring us CeCe Peniston.
CeCe Peniston will turn your pussy out. Don't sleep.
She is very fierce. But honey, don't bring us Miss CeCe. Honey, I heard this story that CeCe Peniston.
Be kind.
Well, you know that they have that yearly festival of managers and people in Miami. It's like a big deal for radio DJs.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about? And it's big. It's big. And that CeCe Peniston was at the convention center, going to different tables and singing, finally trying to get a record contract. And finally it is, with her little bob, swinging. And people were like, finally stop.
Oh, you
Yeah,
know.
unfortunately, but I love Cece Peniston, but like
she's still around. And I saw her perform at Wigstock, and she turned it.
She turns. You know what? She's just right. She's just right for Wigstock. What was her other song?
We gotta love, we gotta
love. Yes.
And she's had a bunch of songs actually, but
Cece Peniston.
Yeah.
Cece Peniston. Who's bigger, Cece Peniston
or Deborah Cox,
or Deborah Cox
or Crystal Waters?
How did you know I was headed toward Crystal Waters, boo? Totally. I feel like Crystal's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal usually is.
I think. I think probably Crystal Waters, although Deborah Cox probably has the most money.
Yeah.
Deborah has the most money, of
course. She sang
Yeah.
live down here in Miami 2 years ago, and I got to see her. I was standing 5 feet away from her as she was singing.
I saw her perform at Town Hall in Provincetown, and she
sounds
fabulous.
Fabulous.
Oh my God, the voice.
Yeah, no,
voice
she's fabulous,
on her, honey.
And she's got a lot of songs, from back in the day. But she's
Nobody's supposed to be here.
That's not Deborah.
Yes, it is.
Gibson. That's Deborah Cox, Miss Thing.
That's who you think we're talking about, bitch.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Deborah Gibson.
I missed.
Oh no, then Deborah. Oh, I'm sorry. So then Deborah Cox, I think
she also sings Wheat Paste. Wheat her.
So Deborah Cox, I think, is definitely bigger than of those three. Then yeah, Deborah Cox.
You know how she got bigger? Saline injections.
Okay.
So let's move on to bitch. I don't see that. Who would like to start? Miss Booby, I think you would.
I don't see QAnon.
Does anybody?
Period.
It's such a shadowy organization.
It's just crazy. It is crazy, and I mean, I could talk about it for days. Some of the conspiracy theories they've been behind, and now evidently a lot of their supporters are really pissed off that the insurrection didn't happen the way they wanted it to, and that Biden is actually president. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, ha!
Oh, honey, cry me a river of adrenochrome, darling.
What's that?
That's the stuff that they think that Hillary Clinton and her goons are terrifying and killing children to drink their blood.
In the back of pizzerias. Yeah.
It's fucking nonsense, and I do not believe. No, you know what? I do believe people are that stupid, actually.
Yeah.
I think what's happening is
7 million.
But the temperature is starting to lower because Trump isn't on Twitter, because we have a new president that's more hopeful. Because for 4 years everything was like this, was like at a boil. But now that everyone's starting to calm down, even our governor Cuomo, he said that he didn't go to the inauguration. He was invited, but he didn't go because he was afraid that there would be a big demonstration in Albany. There was only one person.
Yeah, did you see that one person?
Yeah, just one with his flag. Yeah, so wah wah. I think things are starting to calm down.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not a person that takes delight in, holding grudges or revenge or anything. You guys know me. But, there was that one bitch when they tried to storm the Capitol, when they did storm the Capitol, that she had one of those tread on me, don't tread on me flags. And they treaded on her so fierce she died.
She died.
I had to laugh and holler and whoop and kiki, bitch. And whenever I see one of those don't tread on me flags, what it really means is tread on everybody else but me.
Right.
So you know what? Fuck you.
Right, exactly. And listen, I know we're ignoring the comments for right now because we're going to address people at the end. But I just do want to say that Tony R just screamed out "Electric Youth," and Frag had said, "Oh my God, I love Cataluna."
Yeah. So shout out to them. And if people listening are wondering how are there people commenting on this live, because they are patrons and friends of the pod, and one of the benefits / burdens of being that is that you have access to this live recording of So Auntieways. Yes. Matinga, bitch, what are you not seeing? What do you not see, bitch?
Well, first, super quick, even though that there are a couple live people in our, and I just want to give my love to Donna Perry, your sister, Mike, who I love so much.
Can we give love to her later?
But because me and Donna have a special thing going, I just want to say.
Got a love thing.
Yeah, we have a love thing. And I also want to say that even though there are some people in the room with us, but this is an audio podcast. So I want to say that I am wearing my Liza Minerva t-shirt. It is official wear of Homework and Auntieways and our other podcasts, Fire Chicote. It is a fierce t-shirt, honey, and I just love it so much. And you can get our merchandise at Teespring. Link is below. And what I am not featuring, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I want to have a talk about this. It's about something in pop culture. It's not something heavy and crazy. Right. You know, this is going to be fun. But I have actually not written anything on Facebook or on social media because I knew that my opinion is rather caustic and it's going to turn people off.
About saline injected testicles?
No, I just want to say that I am not enjoying WandaVision. I think
neither am I.
Oh my God. I think thank God, Booby.
I only watched the first episode and was like, oh God.
First of all, I am gagging at both of you.
There's 2 episodes. This is the God's honest truth. They're only a half hour. The second episode is about 40 minutes. I had to take a nap midway through each of the episodes. They put me to sleep. I think they're flat. I think they're fake. They're not funny.
No.
The central, like you're doing. So I get it that they have a central mystery that you're trying to unwind here, but you're also using all the tropes of sitcoms. And listen, I want to say Bettany and Wanda, who plays Olsen. Wanda, and Olsen. Bettany and Olsen, they're great. I love them. They have chemistry. They're great. But you know what? They're not funny. They're not funny, and it's designed really well, and it looks right. And they're putting in, you know, they're trying their hardest. Catherine Hahn is the bomb.
Who's that?
She plays the next door neighbor, like the Mrs. Kravitz type.
It'll be a gas.
Yeah, and she's fabulous. You know, she's supposed to be the High Witch of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. What's her face? She's playing Agatha. What's her face?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's supposed to be her. Just not entertaining, like flawed and airless and boring.
Wow.
And boring.
You like it, Diamond?
You know what's so funny? I had a feeling, just so everyone knows, we do not discuss ahead of time the topic that we're going to be like, what I'm featuring and what I'm not seeing. I thought for sure one of you were going to say what you were featuring was WandaVision. I've seen the first 2 episodes. I really like it. I mean, I'm not downgrading your opinion, guys. Yeah. I mean, you know, complex narratives are not for everyone. I mean, I think you have to take the long view to what they're doing and what they're constructing. And I'm really enjoying it. I think it's very layered. I think it's very interesting. And I'm willing to go along for the ride.
So ride away to the sunset.
Ride on, bitch. Go on.
It's good, honey.
You know what? It's like the thing is for me is it can't just look pretty. It can't just be well designed. Because it looks right. I mean, that first episode, I was like, that is the living room from the fucking Dick Van Dyke Show, and that's the kitchen from Bewitched. And then in the second one, it starts to turn into the living room from Bewitched. And like, you know, they've got the tropes right, but like it's just so canned. It's
something's really boring about it.
But it's
canned and boring.
I think they're they're subverting the genre while paying homage to it. And also, someone please check your microphone because it's making a lot of noise. Trust. Also, like that first episode when they're at the dinner party, spoilers, people, and the boss starts choking on a strawberry.
Yeah, and she's like, "Stop it! Stop it!"
Okay, that moment.
Menacing.
Get into that exact moment because it does change. They go from a static 3-camera setup to single camera with movement for every shot from there on after. Right. So there's like little subtle things that I really appreciate. And her saying stop it with that smile, although she's actually in terror. I love what they're doing, and I'm curious to see where they take it.
The phenomenal Deborah Jo Rupp playing
from that 70s show.
From that 70s show. And there is like clearly, you know, if you are a comic book fan, it looks like they're doing a riff on House of M, and sort of their riff on Pleasantville, and I get it. And in that moment, it's really powerful because it does go from like this very placid sitcom moment to like, you could tell that the Deborah Jo Rupp character, the real person's trying to break through.
There's something else going on.
There's something else going on. And in that second episode, spoilers, through the radio, they're like, Maximoff, what's happening to you? What's going on with you? And she's not having it. Like she doesn't want to deal with it.
Do you know what's weird about that? Like on the radio, so it's supposed to be the early 60s, 62 maybe. Yeah. And she hears Help Me Rhonda, the Beach Boys, which wouldn't even come out for 6 or 7 years. I actually think that they're saying Help Me Wanda.
Help Me Wanda. Well, her name is Wanda Maximoff.
Right. So yeah, like there's something funky going on. I'm down with it. I can't wait to watch the new episode tomorrow.
I think what might be possible, I think this is what is happening, is the African-American lady whose name I'm forgetting right now, who just shows up in the second episode.
Is her name Clementine or Gwendolyn or something like that?
I think that is the grown-up young girl from the Captain Marvel movie. And that young girl actually becomes the second Captain Marvel.
Right.
Yeah, and I think, but she was but first she's a member of Shield or Sword.
So you're not featuring WandaVision. You much more feature Wonder Woman.
Oh, Wonder Woman, always.
Yeah.
Always. So yeah, listen, I'm going to continue watching because I'm starved for content, especially MCU content. But like, I'm disappointed. Yeah, I'm just, honey, I didn't put it online. So
That's valid. That's valid. That's valid. And put your opinion online, bitch. Who cares? So let me tell you what I'm not seeing, girl. I am not seeing getting a batch of fake drugs. Okay, now this story's gonna be a little raw, y'all.
Oh no,
be a little bit raw. Do y'all know what microdosing is?
Yeah,
I feel like I should.
Microdosing is taking a very small amount of like psilocybin mushrooms, not enough to get you high, just enough to
giggle,
to unlock the doors of perception, as it were. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had gotten me a batch from a friend who shall go unnamed, Miss Claudine.
Ooh.
Along with a THC gummy bear to help me sleep at night, because you know a bitch don't sleep. Well, girl, I planned the whole thing out. I drove to a fucking far-flung country-ass town to meet this bitch in a parking lot of a supermarket to get my stash. I did my research, girl. I planned the day when nobody was around. I had no commitments. I fed the cat, bitch. I turned off the phone. Bitch, I took my dose, my micro dose, and I waited. Nothing happened. So an hour later, I took some more. Nothing happened. So an hour later, I took some more. Nothing happened, so I took the gummy bear. Then I got stoned. And I did some runway for your nerves. But I was bitch. But I was so mad about those mushrooms, okay? I was just so mad. I tried it again with some tea, didn't work. But so then I finally said, fuck it, and I took a nap. Now it's 2 p.m. I'm so exhausted from all this fake-ass shiitake mushrooms and the pot gummy. I took a nap. I get up. I look out the window. Now it's where it turns into a story about what I'm kind of featuring. I'm going to turn a bad story into a good story. So I wasn't seeing those fake drugs, and I'm not saying, Claudine, that you sold me fake shit, but may I please have my $35?
Wait, I want to say one quick thing.
Yeah,
I want to say just real quick. Well, first of all, that it could very well, honey. You said in the parking lot of a supermarket, honey. He went and got some fucking shiitakes and took your $35. But I have to say
no, because they were in a little Ziploc. They was prepared.
But also, I do have to say about 15 years ago, I was going to go see this show called Fuerza Bruta. It was like this, extrasensory show where the ceiling came down,
sliding over you, and
sliding over you, and it was like this very intense show. And so while I am not a big shroom queen, I got some shrooms from a dear friend, and me and my friend Alan, who my love Alan. Oh, but the people live in the room. They're going to hear me.
Alan.
Right. Also,
Dear Alan.
people listening can't see you cover your mouth, honey.
They might be on mushrooms right now. But anyway, okay, so
she's on WandaVision, bitch.
Honey, she lives in Singapore now. She doesn't care. And so we got some mushrooms, and at that same time, I got some mushrooms for you from a dear friend. And honey, me and Alan microdosed on those mushrooms. We tripped the fuck out. The show was incredible. We macrodosed, yeah. And you did those mushrooms as well, and they didn't touch you, but they were real. They were real. Do
you think that I'm just like fungally?
You're immune. You have an immunity.
I think you have an immunity to it because I remember you going.
I'm not Paul Stamets, honey. Mushrooms don't work on me, bitch. I was mad, but you know what? The story has a happy ending, and I tell you why. Even though I was psychologically devastated about the mushroom experience, bitch. Jimi Hendrix. I have not been experienced, girl. Honey, one pill makes you larger, one pill makes you small. No, Grace Slick, that didn't happen. You better go ask Alice because those mushrooms didn't work. But I'm getting off topic. So I take my nap and then I get up and Cutie's in the bed with me and I look out the window and you know those sky chickens, those vultures I always see?
Yes.
Girl, there were like 50 of them outside in the trees. I'm like, what the fuck? So I get up, I stumble, still a little soon. I stumble over to the window. There's a dog running around the backyard, frantically running around in circles. And the vultures were there like watching, I guess, waiting for it to pass out or some shit. I was like, oh my God, there's a fucking dog. I go outside. It was a lost dog with a red bandana. And I call her over. I'm like, come here, come here. She came right over, eyes big, frightened, so cold there were icicles in her fur. Honey, she just came right with me. I brought her in the house. Cutie giving side eye the whole time.
Serving side eye, I'm sure.
Side eye.
Yeah.
I found the little tag. I called. I said, hi. Are you Penny's owner? The dog's name is Penny. She's like, yeah. I'm like, your dog is in my bathroom. She's like, my husband was walking her, blah, blah, blah. So it turns out her husband and their friend who live a while away were walking her and she got loose. Thank God this dog had tags. So they come driving over. I reunite Penny with her owners. And even though I did not get to microdose and unlock the doors of perception, I reunited cute dog Penny with her people.
Oh,
I feel real good about it.
That's beautiful.
She was sweet.
You gave Penny some water and some food, I'm sure.
And I gave her daddy a blowjob in the driveway. Hey, talk about a microdose.
But then it was really weird because then the father was like, you know, we named her after the character that Janet Jackson portrayed in Good Times.
Penny.
And you're like, my God, I loved Miss Penny. And then he hit you over the head with an iron.
An iron.
Yeah, burnt me with an iron.
Burnt you with an iron.
Girl,
I think you were tripping out.
Yeah, so it was like I took a bad day and accidentally made it good. The dog was so sweet. Oh my God, she was just gorgeous. And so she was just lying there in the bathroom. Like she was like, okay, I'll go with this human. I was like, yeah, because those birds were going to eat her. Now, speaking of Penny and Good Times and old sitcoms.
By the way, I say that at the bar. Oh, I guess I'll go with this human.
I'll go with this human. It offered me water.
Yes. And I'll lie on their bathroom floor.
Yeah.
Their bathroom floor.
There's icicles in my fur. Why not?
While he feeds me dog food.
Yes. While the pussy gives me the side eye. I was like, well, who told your wife to stay home?
While smoking a cigarette.
Oh, bitch. So it's time for a segment that we like to call Just the Facts.
Remember that episode of Facts of Life when Mrs. Garrett got caught stealing?
Yes, Just the Facts.
We're going to discuss an episode of the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Who's ready for Just the Facts?
You take the good, you take
the bad.
Take them all in there. You had the facts. Listen up, guys. So remember how a little earlier this week, Michael, you were like, guys, have you watched that episode of Facts of Life? And Booby was like, yeah, I watched it. And I was like, girl, I'll get to it. Don't worry. I'll watch it before the show starts. And then, you know, and you're okay, fine, mom. And then, so then this morning I actually got up and I actually wrote a little note for myself. Watch Facts of Life, shoot at 4 p.m. It's a paper plate, by the way. And then I started watching The Pit Stop with Raja and Raven at about like 1:30. And I watched 5 episodes straight and totally forgot to watch The Facts of Life, girl. So,
oh my.
I'm sorry.
You stupid bitch. Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Yeah. You are starved for content. I texted you a reminder. You wrote it to yourself on a paper plate because you're class.
Yes,
because that's class.
Because that's class.
And you didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it, guys.
Girl.
And listen, I do want to say that generally I follow through on the assignments. I do the research. I did have every intent, because you know that, like, I don't watch the material until day of, like, even for Fire Chakotay, because I want it to be really, really fresh.
It's going to be fresh.
Yeah. So girl, I got into, like, I was watching the pit stop and they're reading and they're tooting and booting, and I just,
you know what, girl?
Forgot.
We're going to keep it so fresh that you can comment on it tomorrow in the comments. Booby and I will discuss it.
Booby, I'm here. I'm going to spectate with everyone else.
So, Booby, you and I watched the season 1 episode called The Facts of Love, aka Sex Education.
Yes.
Now, we're going to give this 5 minutes for this little segment. Basically, the story is Mrs. Garrett is teaching a sex ed class to the girls at Eastland. Meanwhile, Blair on the low is hooking up with a hot delivery boy who everyone thinks that Natalie wants to have Papa Cherry.
Yep.
Oh, that's the basic?
Everybody's living for this boy.
Let's talk about the boy. His name was Steve.
Lovely.
Didn't he look like Luke Skywalker?
He reminded me of Luke Skywalker and a porn star from the 80s. I mean, he had booty, he had lima, he had chest, he had everything. The hair, the feathered hair, blonde, blue eye, just gorgeous.
Those ice blue eyes. And I love that his shirt when he comes in for the delivery, it's a bodybuilder shirt.
Body.
But it says body.
Is Blair having sex with him?
You know what's a good way to know the answer to that? Watch the fucking episode.
Well, honey, but you're recounting it for all of us.
Okay, so what happens is Steve is making the delivery, and Natalie's basically.
What's the name of this actor, by the way?
What? The name of the actor?
Yes.
Mark Hamill. And so Steve is making the delivery, and Natalie is just about dampening the carpet in the room because she's so into him.
With her poonie.
She gropes him.
Yes, she does with her arm, his arm.
She gropes his arm, and Blair's playing it cool. Then everybody runs off to do whatever they're gonna do. And then Blair and Steve start making out right there in the room, honey, pressing crotch to crotch, bitch, right there, sullying the common room in Eastland.
Tight jeans to tight jeans.
Tight jeans to tight jeans. Blonde hair to blonde hair. And then Mrs. Garrett comes in and like, back that shit up, honey.
Yeah.
Save me a piece of Miss Steve. Okay. And then Blair and her little friend have a little thing about, don't go too far, bitch. I'll go as far as I want. Flash forward, the sex education class. Booby, take it.
The girls are asked to ask questions about sex, about things that they want to know about sex. And as they're asking questions, the head master,
Mr. Bradley
walks in because he's uneasy with the idea of sex education being taught at the school, and he wants Mrs. Garrett to use a very antiquated book to teach sex education on, like on fruit flies and how they reproduce, and
or like using a pessary. He's like, girls, just stick a potato in your punani.
That's right.
Be done. It ain't right. Go ahead, Boo.
No. So he sits down to observe how Mrs. Garrett is teaching the class, and the girls ask uncomfortable questions about the male perspective on popping cherries. And they're like, but there's a guy in the room, Mr. Bradley. And he's so like,
Mr. Bradley whips it out, and they're all like, girth.
And then it goes a little Debbie Does Dallas, like, weirdly.
Well, they do show a film. At one point, they do march off to see a film. I like Natalie's question when she goes, when do I cave in?
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, you gonna get fisted?
When do I... I like Molly Ringwald's little comment. She was like, I don't like a man to know more than I do about something. I want to teach a man something. Or...
Hello.
She's very...
She better work. And of course, Blair and Sue Ann have a little back and forth about who's a slut and who's going to try out the merchandise and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Because Sue Ann knows that Blair is going to hook up with Steve.
Did either one of you actually get any sex education in school?
No.
Yes, honey. My shop teacher fucked me lovely over that death.
You say that. No, I meant like educational.
Girl, he fucked me so hard I started seeing WandaVision. Stop that.
We used to get health ed, but really it was just like go hang out in the yard and and run around and act stupid for a half hour. But in high school, there was one time where they showed us a movie, definitely from the 50s. It had a lot to do with bees. I remember actual bees, like real bees, and with absolutely no information about human anatomy or human sexuality, not even heterosexual sexuality. It was very biological.
Very biological. You went to a parochial school.
I did. So, but then even in high school, I went to a regular high school, and it was no sex ed.
What high school did you go to?
I went to a place.
Aviation, right?
No, I was a couple blocks away from aviation. It was called Queens Vocational and Technical.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I was one of two out gay boys. We were both cunt. There were probably other gay boys, but I was one of two out gay boys. We were both ostracized. I was fat and lonely. And I have to say that my homegirls, Miss Catherine Ket Ying and Monique Downs, my two straight female friends from first grade all the way through high school, protected me, kept me company, loved me, fed me, protected me.
Injected you with saline.
Injected me with saline. Like those two girls, like they saved me because I was such a loser. And then I came out and honey, I flourished. The titties were up.
What's black and white and black and white and black and white and black and white and red? A nun falling down the stairs.
Oh,
with
food stamps.
Well, that harkens back to a joke that Natalie tells in the beginning, which is
what's green and red and goes 100 miles an hour. A frog in a blender.
Oh, Mindy. As you know, Miss Mindy wants Steve, but it's Blair who's going to get him. Right. So Steve, Luke Skywalker, picks Blair up in his brother's van.
Yes.
And that's where they're going to, and that's where they're going to have their date. And to make a long story short, well, first, I think they're eating popcorn shrimp, which is disgusting.
Oh, and I would live for a man to do that.
To feed you popcorn shrimp and then put his nasty, crabby mouth on yours?
Bring it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then they're in the back of the van. And as it turns out, Steve, who also is a champion wrestler, oh my God, he's delicious. He gives her this big, ugly necklace. He wants to go steady, but Blair's like, nah, you're going to work this punani.
And I just want to play around.
And he's a little hurt. And then he's like, oh, you want some fun? Bitch, I'll give you fun. And then it cuts to him leaping on her. And then you see the outside.
Throwing her down.
And then you see the outside of the van. I'm like, oh my God, this is a very dark.
Like, no, Steve.
Very dark and special episode of The Facts of Life. But no. As it turns out, the cops find them and bring Blair back to Eastland. And Mr. Bradley is pissed.
Right. So does the guy try and attack her? Like
no, they pulled him over for speeding out of the parking lot from Lookout Mountain. And Tootie thought she had the dish and the gossip, but as it turns out, Natalie knew all along. And she's like, nah, he just made me moist and I was cool with that.
Yes.
And so at the end of the day, virginity is retained. Steve is off wrestling somebody and Natalie will wait her turn.
Was the episode sex positive or sex negative?
I think it was generally sex positive, and it was saying, do what you want to do for you.
For self-esteem.
Not for anybody else.
Right.
Yeah. I thought, they couldn't go 2-2-2. Although I think it's insinuated that Miss Nancy has lost her cherry to Raja.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The three of us in this room were all having sex in our early teens.
Separately.
I would assume. Not with each other.
Separately, darling.
Yeah. But we were all having sex in our early teens.
That's how rumors start, Marina.
Oh, no, honey. I waited till I was in a relationship, girl.
You waited until you were like 9 or 10.
I waited till I got outside the door, bitch. No. I waited till, to find someone special that I loved and that cared about me.
I remember Bob one. He had no teeth.
He was a tweaker. And also he wasn't my first, darling. He was my second. He was my second out of 10. What?
He was 15 and you were 15, he was like 35.
I was 17 and he was 28, darling. Cheating on me with some bisexual coke whore. Oh, anyhow.
So apparently later you became that bisexual.
Good times.
Good times. I think he's probably dead. Anyway, so that's just the facts. And we encourage you, if you haven't, to please go watch The Facts of Life in whatever format you can find it in, because it's worth it. And I'm talking to you, Matinga.
Yes. Yes, Mrs. Crabtree.
Do you know what? I think you're just resistant to the fact that I like structure and complexity, and that you intentionally didn't watch it just to snub me. Don't you think so, Booby?
Listen,
I don't know.
Should I mute her?
Listen, I've said this before. I'm talent.
Are you?
I'm talent.
Keep repeating that, honey. Okay.
Keep on,
Yeah, keep on pressing.
What is the shade that Bianca says to the black bitch? What is one good thing that you do? Just name one good thing you do.
Do you know what? I'll tell you
Take your time.
To whom are you posing the question?
To Miss Diamond.
Yeah.
What's one good thing that I do?
Yeah.
The one good thing that I do.
Yeah.
Honey, let me let you know that I lower the notch on my talent to such a degree so that y'all bitches don't get shown up, okay? That's friendship, okay? I'm not trying to show y'all. I'm not trying to show y'all bitches up, okay?
Yeah. Why don't you do what you do when you do what you did to me?
Oh, damn it. Someone accidentally muted Matinga's microphone. Shit. I'll unmute her. Miss Matinga, nobody can see you, girl. This is an audio podcast. Your powers have no power here. All right, let's unmute it. What a paper plate. Oh, she's classy. Okay, you're unmuted. Are you fanning yourself with a paper plate?
I am, girl.
Okay, fine.
It looks classy.
It looks real classy. Well, I think we've covered everything that we're going to cover in today's edition of So Auntieways, unless there's something else that you guys would like to add. Okay, then. Thank you for listening to this edition of So Auntieways. Make sure to check the link below for all of our other content, including our amazing Fire Chakotay Star Trek podcast, our continuing YouTube videos, our merch on Teespring, our Patreon, our Venmo, and all of that good stuff. I am Mike Diamond.
Wait.
This is Yes.
Wait.
What?
Do we have like a mirror, like a handheld mirror, so that we can acknowledge all the people in the comments?
Oh my God, I thought you would like to check out our buttholes or something. Like, do you have a small hand mirror?
Darling, why would you need a small one?
I just want to say that Tony just keeps screaming out Blair, so it's Tony Blair.
Tony Blair. Okay, before we get to the comments, though, let's wrap this up for everyone else that's listening to this podcast.
Oh, of course.
By just saying, So Auntieways.
So Auntieways.
Auntieways. Auntieways.